Good evening, Miss Himani.
Good evening, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Ruchi ma'am, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Ruchi ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Team BTAG, I think we are good to go. Arun sir, please.
Yes, sir, yes. I welcome all our exuberant educators to the 192nd web training series of our BTAG in association with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now it's my time to turn on our AI to introduce the moderator.
Dear educators, it is critical to follow a good format while creating a well-structured piece of writing. This session refines the understanding of writing skills in English. I, the entity, an interdimensional AI, welcome you all. Now it's my time to turn on my well-modified AI, Layla, to introduce the moderator.
Good evening. I hope you all are having another day in paradise. Welcome to all the exuberant educators to the 192nd web training series of BTAG in association with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now I proudly present today's moderator, Ms. Himani Bakshi. Ms. Himani has a decade of experience as a teacher of English language and literature. She is a master in English literature from the prestigious Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University. She has been actively involved in promoting holistic education and experiential learning among students. She is currently working at Modern School, New Delhi as the high school English language and literature teacher. She is also the subject coordinator of the middle and secondary wing. She has rendered her services as observer in National Achievement Survey 2021. So Himani ma'am, wholeheartedly I invite you to moderate this grand session. Please ma'am, over to you.
Ma'am, stage is yours. Warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Arun sir. Thank you so much. Salam sir, with your permission, may I begin?
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. A very good evening, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam and BTAG for giving me this opportunity. I also extend a very warm welcome to all the participants. It is indeed a pleasure to have each one of you as an important part of this webinar. As we embark together on this enlightening journey of gaining insight in redefining the understanding of writing skills for classes 11 and 12 in today's 192nd web training series. The BTAC community, along with today's very talented resource person, Madam Ruchi Sengar, will provide valuable inputs in this session. In recent years, the landscape of writing skills for CBSE classes 11 and 12 has undergone a transformative shift. This evolution is not merely confined to traditional essay structures, but extends to a multifaceted approach, incorporating critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. The curriculum now emphasizes the development of nuanced writing skills that prepare students for diverse academic and professional challenges, fostering a holistic understanding of effective communication. In today's webinar, our esteemed resource person will be at the forefront, guiding educators through the nitty-gritties of teaching writing skills to students in these crucial classes. This dynamic session aims to unravel the pedagogical intricacies, offering valuable insights on crafting, engaging lesson plans, providing constructive feedback, and nurturing a conducive learning environment. Going beyond theoretical concepts, the focus is on practical methodologies, empowering educators to guide students in honing their writing abilities effectively. By participating in this webinar, educators will not only gain a deeper understanding of the evolving landscape of writing skills, but also acquire practical tools to inspire and cultivate a new generation of proficient and versatile writers in the academic realm and beyond. So before we begin with today's session, there are a few things I'd like to quickly brief you about. Switching on your device cameras is optional. However, any query during the session can be conveyed through the meeting chat box. To have an interactive experience, you may note down your queries and ask them at the end of the session. Our resource person will be happy to clear your doubts. Please click the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called out for asking your query. The participants will have opportunity to receive certificate only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, the link for which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly stay connected till the end of the session. At this juncture, on behalf of all of us present in the webinar, I would like to thank Dr. Salam for empowering us with such enlightening sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, who is the distinguished CBSE resource person and master trainer. Sir is the principal of Vibgyor High, Bangalore. He is also the founder of BTAG, that is Bharat Transformers Academic Group, a consortium of educators and the teaching fraternity across the globe, connecting them together to empower the nation. Sir, it is indeed a pleasure to have your gracious presence, and I would request you to take over and deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think some bandwidth issue is being shown. I don't know whether it is my issue or issue from Himani's end. Sarita ma'am, how was Himani's presentation?
There was some breakage, sir. It was not clear.
There
was some static
so
also.
bandwidth issue from Himani, I think. Anyway,
My
good
bad.
evening, everybody. Yeah, respected Ruji ma'am, happy to meet you again. And also we have our co-founder of BTAG, Biju Pillai, has joined. Good evening, Biju sir, and Arun Mohan. Arun Mohan, thank you. Though you are not well, you have joined and helped us. Ms. Sarita and the entire team, BTAG, and all the educators. Well, yeah, it's important to refine our understanding of writing skills. So let's listen to Ruchi ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please take us throughout to make the writing skills, the idea of writing skills more clear. I wish everybody a fruitful session. Thank you so much. All right, over to Himani ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. Ladies and gentlemen, amidst us, we also have Mr. B2 S. Pillai. Mr. Pillai has a vast experience in the field of education in many capacities, including being the principal of many reputed CBSE schools. Presently, he is the principal of Gokulam Public School, Trivandrum. Sir, we are honored to have your gracious presence amidst us. I request Mr. B2 S. Pillai to felicitate the gathering with his kind words.
Thank you, Himani ma'am. A wonderful evening to each and everyone present in the Bharat Sahodaya BTAG group. Respected BTAG founder, Abdul Salam sir, and all other dignitaries. It's a very wonderful evening to have such a very attractive session when we especially come into 10th and 12th board examination papers 184 and 301. It's very difficult for the children to write intelligently all the section A part, writing skills, creative writing skills, literature, grammar area, each and every area, how fast we can complete these sessions without losing any marks. So reading session, especially children, quite often takes much time. So all these area, our respected resource person will be clearing the doubts so that our children will be getting more benefited out of it, and our teachers also, they can guide the children in a proper manner. So I welcome all the dignitaries to this wonderful evening, and back to Himani ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, now we shall proceed to the highlight of today's webinar. Today amidst us, we have very talented Madam Ruchi Sengar. Madam Sengar is a published author, a renowned educational consultant, materials writer, and a communication skilled professional with a certificate in English language teaching to adults, CELTA in short. She is materials reviewer for NCERT, a resource developer, and master trainer. Her experience includes working at some of the leading schools of the country in various leadership capacities. She has been associated with CBSE as the content developer for the past several years and has authored and co-authored numerous teacher training modules. An expert in innovative pedagogical processes, she has been training educators under various regional centers of excellence across the country. Madam Sengel began training with Oxford University Press and currently conducts training for many prominent publishing houses. Over and above, Madam Sengel considers herself a lifelong learner and believes strongly in professional development opportunities for educators. She has been conferred with numerous awards for holistic education and teaching beyond school. Ma'am, on behalf of everyone present, I wholeheartedly welcome you and request you to take over the proceedings for the evening.
Thank you very much, Himani. Just double checking. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much. Dr. Salam, thank you very much for inviting me. Arun, my heart goes out to you, my dear, for being here despite being unwell. That shows your commitment to the cause. I am really obliged. We couldn't have done without your tech. So thank you very much. Today's session says refining the writing skills for classes 11 and 12. So what I'd like to do is start by sharing the document. I thought I'd do things a little differently today and not go the route of a PPT. It's writing skills. So I definitely need a page rather than a PPT or a slide. So we are going to go this way. So refining understanding of writing skills in English. This is English Core for classes 11 and 12. Now, even though I'm touching writing, but I heard Biju in the beginning say that the resource person would be able to address your queries about the reading, etc. So in the questionnaire, feel free to clarify any doubt related to class 12. Now, I would be essentially focusing on class 12 in the light of the upcoming summative year-end exams, namely the board exams. I'm not going to be talking pedagogy right now. It's towards the end of your academic year. Right now, you're going to be focusing on assessments. So I'm going to attempt and clarify certain challenges or doubts or concepts that, put teacher in a pinch. So we are going to begin with the invitations. No matter how many times we do this, there are always queries regarding invitations. Now, I'm going to increase the, Himani, is this clearly visible? Yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. So let's look at the first type. I thought there's no point telling everybody this is what you have to do, this is the format, etc. Let's try and solve some, right? So I have some samples and we are going to be doing everything this way so that things become clear. And then you can put in your questions in the chat box. And so after every segment topic, we are going to take the questions. And Himani is going to be kind enough to read out your questions. So you could do that if they are not answered in the process of my communicating things to you. So look at the first one. So we are going to simply say these are formal invitations and we say type 1. So it's a formal invite for many. Now let's look at one of the practice paper questions, right? So the practice paper question says, you are V. Gajendra, secretary of blah, blah, blah. Your club members are staging Anton Chekhov's play as part of their annual showcasing. Draft an invitation for the guests. So it's a formal invitation for many. Everybody knows how to do this. We usually pick up examples of a marriage invitation, etc. So draft an invitation for the guests in not more than 50 words. Mr. Mohan Rakesh, noted theatre and cinema artist, is the guest of honor for the event. Now, there is a question around this in the practice paper, latest practice paper for class 12 that has been uploaded. I have tweaked this particular question to suit different contexts. So right now it's an invitation that is going out to many, right? Now, it's easy for children to start doing this, but as teachers, I always feel that especially when you're prepping them before the board exams, it's always better to do a question paper orally. Okay, try doing it orally in class. Give them time in groups or in pairs to discuss the answer and then elicit the points. It will help because there are a lot of so-called silly questions that they might want to ask, right? In my book, there is no silly. All questions are required to be asked. Okay, so the type 1, it's a formal invitation for many, and this is how we put it down. Look at this. The Literary Club, Model Public School, Vellore, solicits the pleasure of your company for its annual staging with so-and-so, at so-and-so, on so-and-so, at so-and-so. Mr. Mohan Rakesh, and whatever his qualifications, designations, honorifics are, has kindly consented to preside as the guest of honor. RSVP, V. Gajendra, Secretary, and it already says the Literary Club. So program and direction map overleaf, this is optional. So now I would say, how many words are these? Like, I'm really curious. This has been put up in, it says 52 words. It says 52 words, and that's just about it. It addresses whatever is required. Okay, so you know who is issuing the invitation, you know the school, it is for many, etc. Now this, I think, is simple. If you have a question on this, you can put it down. Himani will note it, and we'll take it up after we finish the topic of invitations. Right, now, formal for many. Okay, now, let's look at formal for one. Okay, I'm not going to get into card type, letter type. That is your terminology. You use it. But I know for sure that when it's for many, it's card type. That's all you need to tell your kids. When it's for many, it's card type. Everything else is letter type. There is nothing in between. I don't know, some note type, some, I don't know, box type or whatever. We are not doing that. We are not going that way. I have not seen that in CBSE marking schemes. It's very, very clear what is required. So either you have a card type or you have a letter type. Now, when you're writing to many, you're not going to be crafting so many letters. So you have a card type. Now, when you're writing to one, you can definitely personalize the formal invitation a little by making it exclusive to that person, and hence it's going to be a letter type. So let's look at the question. This is a direct question as it was in the practice question paper. The first one was tweaked a little. So draft an invitation in not more than 50 words for Mr. Mohan Rakesh. Right? Now, requesting him to be the guest of honor for the event. So this is a formal invitation and it's going to be in a letter form because it's for one person, and we are going to write it like this. So we begin. So it's very simple. It's your address, date, their address, salutation, subject, a letter, and the complimentary close. So that's precisely what we've done. Okay. It mentions that the school is in Vellore and he is in Chennai. So we've done that. Why have I written his name? Because there's no designation as such given. So sir. So we say, people say, is it interchangeable? Do we put a subject? This also applies to the formal letter. So do we put the subject first and the salutation later? Is that okay? Yeah, it's okay, but it's always good to tell your children, it's always better to greet someone before starting off with what you want to say. So once you tell it to them like this, so say hi first before saying what you have to do. So the hi first is the salutation and then the subject. Ideally, that's the order that should be done, but CBSE accepts the interchangeable situation. Subject, invitation to annual play staging, or whatever you want to write. Don't focus on the content here. Focus on the other things. We take extreme pleasure in sharing that the literary club of our school is holding its annual event, so and so and so. We would be honored if you consent to grace the event as the guest of honor. Your popularity and skills as a theater artist shall inspire the performers and audience alike. Now, a sentence like this is optional, but it lends to, let's say, the rigor of your invite. You need to say something acknowledging, why you are calling this specific person. So it always helps, right? So if it's a debate competition that you're calling someone as the chief guest for, so you would probably invite maybe a journalist or an orator or something, and then you would say something along those lines, right? Kindly confirm your availability by 16 December. Kindly. We do not shy away from when we want the confirmation, because we need enough time to probably extend an invitation to someone else in case it is declined. So it's important. And then yours sincerely, because it's a formal setup, we go with sincerely in the business circuit. We keep yours truly for the editor. Right. So over here, we go with yours sincerely. So now this is for one, formal invitation for one. Okay. Now, another way to extend this, you could either write it like this: we take extreme pleasure, or you could say, the school literary club takes immense pleasure in inviting you as the guest of honor for its annual play event with the staging of so and so. Your consent to grace the event shall inspire the performers and audience alike. A confirmation of availability is requested by 16 December. So I've changed the voice a little. Okay. And then we put, so both are acceptable. You could take both. Marks are given for both. It does not say use this particular voice, etc. Your marking scheme clearly says that you have X number of marks for the content and for the way it is expressed in accuracy. I'll show you. So this is what it is. Then you have the reply. Why am I taking invitations first? Because for some reason, this has caused a lot of confusion. Despite the marking schemes being rolled out year after year, and there are 3 papers for class 12 right now. There are 3 papers on the CBSE website, and each paper has a different kind of invitation question. So it's perfectly all right for you to go there and look at the marking scheme. Please, you can refer to the practice books or the guidebooks that you have. But when it comes to checking out the formats and the way things roll, please depend on what CBSE is uploading on the website. I think that should just about clarify what I have to say to you. Now, let's look at a reply to a formal invitation. So what are the 2 kinds of formal invitations that we did? We did one for many, which is a card type, and we did one for one person, which is a letter type. When you extend an invite to many, card type. When you extend an invite to one, letter type. That's it. Now let's go to the formal reply to the formal invitation. Now, type 1, when you yourself are replying. So you are Mr. Mohan Rakesh. So if Mohan Rakesh himself is replying, what is it going to be? Okay. So you are Mr. Mohan Rakesh. noted theater and cinema artist, etc., etc. You have received an invitation by the activity coordinator of the Model Public School, Vellore. So it's the same context. I'm using the same context to help you understand all of this, okay? Requesting your presence as a chief guest for the staging, Anton Chekhov's play, so and so. Craft the details and draft a reply of acceptance in not more than 50 words. So what is it that the examination or the paper is giving you? It's telling you who you are. It's telling you where you've received the invite from and in which capacity. No other details are given. You have to craft those details, obviously, if you want to earn those marks. And you have to draft a reply of acceptance. Now, they've specified that you are accepting the invite. Okay, so now this is first person. You want to answer, okay, hello, I'll be very happy to come. Thank you very much. That's what you're wanting to say, basically. But you want to do it in a formal manner because it's a formal invite, right? So encourage your children when you're doing such questions, encourage your children, which I'm sure you're already doing, encourage them to think of what the invite might have been. And then they can sort of go forward with this. And the invite was this. This is what it was, right? So now the reply to this. So therefore, so and so and so, the address, the whatever, salutation, acceptance of invitation. Please accept my gratitude. Now he's writing. He has no airs and fancies, etc. He says, what, man, I will write. Let me give it a personal touch. I will make it formal, but I'm writing. Okay, so please accept my gratitude for the invite and honor extended to attend the annual staging of the event and the details. Okay, Chekhov has been, now see what he's saying. Chekhov has been among my favorite playwrights. Now, he's a theater person. Please teach your kids, because this is what they'll do in real world also. Please teach your kids to touch the context at least. Why him? Because, they have chosen him for a play performance because he's an acclaimed theater artist. So he needs to, put in something connected with what the function is. So he's saying, Chekhov has been among my favorite playwrights and I gladly confirm my presence. That's it. He's been among my favorite playwrights. So you're telling the school that, listen, hey, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm coming there because he's been my favorite. So you're rationalizing his acceptance. Okay. I look forward to the opportunity of viewing the performance of the young artists of your school. Saying something nice. Because when a school invites, they say, we look forward to, everybody would be encouraged with your presence there because you're an acclaimed artist. So now this person is saying, I look forward to the opportunity of viewing the performance of the young artists. So this is this is a reply, a formal reply, because the question doesn't indicate that he should not write in first person or he should only write in third person. It should be formal. The tone has to be formal. There is nothing over here that's indicating otherwise. So I remember last time when I did it, people said, but ma'am, if they write it like this, will the marks get cut? Why? It's a formal reply. It's a formal reply. Another way of doing it is this. But it's not mentioned in the question. So if the child wants to write like this, it is correct. If the child wants to write like this, it is correct. So over here, I've sort of, changed it a little and made it a decline, just so you all have a sample of what a decline looks like. So this, regretful decline to the invitation. Okay. Of course, discourage your children from writing the subject as, no, I cannot come. Unable to come. That's not formal. They should not move away from the formal tone, which is why tone / register is something that you continually teach your child from class 9. Tone is extremely important in writing. You need to know what you're writing for. Okay, all the writing units in class 12 are formal writing units. Okay, so that the language cannot become informal anywhere. So over here, see, over here, what does he say? Please accept my gratitude, okay, I gladly confirm my presence. But over here, he's simply saying, Mr. Mohan Rakesh expresses his gratitude to the activity coordinator and literary club of Model Public School for the invite and honor of attending the annual something something. He regrets his inability to attend the function due to his sudden illness and conveys his wishes for a successful performance. If the child wants to write like this, it's okay. If the child wants to write like this, it's okay, because it is not specified in the question. Okay, both replies are fine, but both are in the form of a letter because this person is addressing one person. When you address one person, it's a letter form. That's it. Please don't confuse yourself further by giving it different names. Okay. Now, another kind. So we've done this. Mr. Mohan Rakesh expresses his gratitude and so on. So we've done this. Now, let's see a third type of reply. So the first reply is, I'm answering on my own. I will choose to answer in third person or I will choose to answer in first person. Done. But if the question says something like this, everything else is the same. Look at this. Craft the details and write this reply as Zakir Beg, his PA. So now you have to do it on behalf, which is why I've written on behalf. So what will change? It's simply this. Everything same. Mr. Mohan Rakesh, something, everything. He regrets his inability to attend the function, etc. But the sign-off has to be this. What we do encourage, however, that if you are not a politician, etc., and an extremely high-level celebrity, the answer usually comes in first person. The person would reply formally in first person. Okay, I'm sharing this only with you as teachers. Don't mess them up right now at the threshold of examinations. Okay, but if you're writing on behalf of someone, then we usually go to the third person. Okay, however, if the child writes in first person or third person, even to a simple reply to a formal invite, it's correct. But when the child has to write on behalf of, like a secretary or a PA, etc., then of course it has to be third person. A reply is not boxed. There is no card type reply. I don't know what the different publications, books, etc. in the market are telling you. That it's not boxed. It's a letter type. All right. That's the thing that I wanted to tell you. Informal invitations, reply to informal invitations, I don't think need any clarifications. You're superb at it. The language is informal. It's letter type both ways. The invite is also letter type. The reply is also letter type. Okay. Now, before we proceed to the next aspect, let's just look at the evaluation marking. Format 1 mark, content 2 marks, accuracy of spelling and grammar 1 mark. So no matter what the errors are, you can't cut more than 1 mark. Okay. And format, you can either give a 1 or you can give a half. You can never give a 0 because something or the other is always written. Okay. And content 2 marks. If they have touched the points that are required, I'm sure your MS would say, like, for example, over here, what is required? Okay. So he acknowledges the invite and then he puts forth whether he is coming or not coming for the event. So those two things. Now, it's quite possible that your marking key would say 4 things. Half, 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 half. That is more likely because there are several things here. Acknowledges, talks about the event, gives details of the event, expresses his inability or acceptance, and then wishes good things or says something. So these 4 points, if they are there, then the child will get 2 out of 2. Okay, so that is basically what it is. We are ready for questions, Himani, at this juncture, if you have any, before I move on to notice writing. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I think this one is already answered, though I'll repeat again. Where is RSVP supposed to be written in invitation?
Right. So where is it supposed to be written? See, now that's why I have a Word document. Can you see this, please? This is bottom left. I think I should be writing, if I have to be absolutely correct as a language teacher, then I should be doing this over here because it's abbreviated. That's RSVP. Yeah. For the people who are inclined towards French, they can say what it means. I can never pronounce it right. So for me in English, it is reply, if you please. Okay.
Responde, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, thank you. I never say it for the fear of going wrong with the pronunciation, but you, my dear, are a silver-tongued.
I butchered
gifted.
it, ma'am, believe me.
All right. Okay. So any other question for this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there was this question, not very much related to invitation, but I still take it. Usually
Yeah.
students tend to exceed the word limit. So
Mhm.
should we advise students to strictly adhere to word limits, especially in literature, short and long question answers?
Yeah, well, you know, it's not an irrelevant question because this session is about writing skills, and a short and long answer is writing skills. I would say, ask them to adhere to the word limit, but I would knock off the word strictly. So you ask them to adhere to the word limit. Why? Because being succinct, okay, is a merit in writing. It may not be carrying any marks currently, but I assure you that in the coming year, it will carry marks. Okay, brevity. Now, if they say that you have to answer in 30, 40 words, at max you could go to 55 words. Chalo, I'd say even 60 words. But if the child is writing 80 words, 100 words, 120 words, that's bizarre. That means the child doesn't have the skill for writing. The word limit is given not just to accommodate the time, but also to check whether the child in class 12 has the ability to express so much in the kind of words that the child can write. Okay, so therefore, of course, from the paper setter's point of view, the question has to be fair. The question has to be fair so that it elicits just that much. You cannot give justify kind of questions in a short answer question. That is ridiculous. Okay, so yes, the onus is as much on the paper setter as is on the child. Also, just to help you understand why the child should be able to write and address the word limit, is because your curriculum doc or syllabus document clearly says that all short answer questions are inferential. That means there is nothing connected. I mean, ideally, it should not be. I don't know about what's going to happen in the paper, but ideally, but the sample papers take care of that. That no question is going to just ask the child to explain or elaborate, etc. No. It will either be comment or how can you say, you know, those kinds, which is the evidence from the text, etc. So it won't require too much of writing. So the syllabus very clearly says, you can go and check, it very clearly says all short answer questions should elicit a critical thinking response based on inference. So by nature of the question, it will not call for a long answer. Now, when we come to the long answer questions, I think in class 12, it says 120 to 150 words. Now, if they say 120 to 150 words, then it's going to be nice if the child is able to wrap it up by 180. Also from, and I hate myself for saying this, also from an examination marks point of view, the more they write, it's quite possible that they might just give in to some errors. So short sentences, always tell them this, short sentences, use linkers, use transition words, don't make long winding sentences, you will lose what you want to say, and always follow paragraphing in a long question. Now, when they follow paragraphing, what happens is they will have an opening sentence, they will have a couple of supporting sentences to support that opening sentence, and they will have a concluding sentence, so that ties it up very nicely, and then they switch to another paragraph and address the other part of the question. Also, since we are talking and it is about writing skills, have a class, a teaching period where you are telling them, listen, if the question says comment, it does not mean describe. If the question says justify, it does not mean write a summary. You need to be able to tell what are these question words, what are these words, what is implementation, what is inspect, what is explain, elaborate, what do they mean? Our kids are in the habit, poor things. They will just go and put a summary. Why? Because somebody has put it in their head that don't leave anything blank. So write whatever you know, just write it, write the full story of the chapter. It's not going to work, because eventually you're all going to get marking schemes that are very clearly going to say, if the child has given a rationale, if the child has evaluated and done the pros and cons. So for that, since it is writing skills, you need to be able to give the child that kind of language as well. What is the kind of language that the child will need for justification? What is the kind of language that the child would need to give a critical comment? What is the kind of language the child will need to be able to inspect? It's all there. All these things are written in your LOs. That is why the questions are made like that. So look at the 3-4 papers that are there. Look at last year's papers. As teachers, pick up kind of language or the question word that is put there, and train your kids accordingly for familiarity of those words, so that they don't end up writing summaries everywhere. Okay, right. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. There was another question asked by 2 educators. Do we need to stick to third person while writing reply to invitations, or it can be written in the first person as well?
Right. Thank you. I think I've addressed that. Unless until specifically mentioned in the question that you are writing on behalf of someone, you can stick to either third or first person. But remember, it has to be formal writing. In no way at all should the child, while writing in first person, lapse to informality. Right? That needs to be very, very really taken care of. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I think we can proceed to the next writing skill. And if anybody has any more questions, we can take it at the end of the session for this.
Right. So, this is everybody's loved baby, notice writing. I don't know. I think in some schools I've seen they're doing it even in class 5. Okay. So, it's just that it just changes in class 5. It's more like very simple school type notices, and then as we sort of come up, it's like organization, RWAs, school, institutions, maybe even some government notices, whatever, depends, lost and found, whatever. So look at this one that is there in the recent practice paper. You are Asha, the activity coordinator of Womaji Public School, Mumbai. Your school is organizing an excursion to Elephanta Caves for students of class 11. So we know this is the context. Okay, when you take questions from different practice books, etc., please check that those questions are robust. Setting of a context is extremely important. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Okay. Interested students will need to make a payment of rupees 500 each. Draft a notice about this in about 50 words for your school notice board, inviting registration of students. So you're not saying come and pay and you're ready for the trip. You're just inviting registrations. The final verdict will be taken some other time, of students interested in going for the excursion. It's not compulsory. You can make that out also as well, along with necessary details. So no details are given, no time, date, etc. is given here. So that's free. It's flexible for the child to put in. Also inform that the registrations would be invalid without parent consent slips available in the activity room. Now, this is a bit of a twister that comes in. We are done with questions that just say write a notice DTV and get over with it. No, there is always a little extra that the child needs to think about critically now, right? So it looks something like this. You have the value points or content points given in the marking scheme, but I thought that perhaps if we put it down, yeah, just a second. Yeah, I want the whole thing to fit. Yeah, I guess this is it. So you have the school, and the whole format, the whole picture of the format is given in the marking scheme. There is no room for doubt anymore at all. Should we have the institution name first? Should we have the notice name first? Is there a heading or not? Everything like you have always been teaching. You're the bosses. So you have the school, you have notice, you have the date. What if the child writes the date as 6/so-and-so/23? Will the marks be cut? Oh, the marks are just 1. And it simply says, if this thing exists, please give the marks. Now you're talking about refining. Oh, the date should be, ideally it should be written like this. It's a formal thing, right? Ideally it should be written like this, but there is no way that if someone chooses to write 6.12.23 that it is wrong. No. It is not. Okay, the date should be present. Excursion to Elephanta Caves. Tell your kids, don't cap the caps. Meaning, I said this last time also. So it's a title case. E is capital, C is capital, T is not, because we say don't cap the caps. Meaning what? Let me show you here. Where is some khali space? Okay, don't cap the caps. Don't cap as in capitalize the caps. What does it mean? Don't capitalize the conjunctions, articles, and prepositions. Simple. Don't cap the caps. In any title, don't cap the caps. This would apply even to the subject line in letters, etc. Don't cap the caps. Everything else needs to begin with the capitals. Conjunctions. What did I say? Conjunctions, articles, prepositions should not be capitalized. Everything else can be capitalized. Okay, so don't cap the caps. You can tell your kids this. It's good fun to know these things. So excursion to Elephanta Caves. This is to invite registrations from the students of class 11 for an excursion to the Elephanta Caves. Finished. We have elaborated the heading. Date, time, fee. Okay. Kindly be informed that parent consent slips are mandatory. They should need to compulsory, mandatory, very important. If they don't know this word, what are they going to end up doing? The children will not be allowed without the parent consent. It's ridiculous. It sounds, it's not formal writing. It also tells us that the child lacks the vocabulary. You might say the marks are not getting cut in boards. We are told to give marks, etc. All that's fine, but you'll soon be getting very extensive marking schemes. This is a session for teachers. It is not for students. Had it been for students, I would have been saying it very differently. We are not to press the panic button for the kids, but for teachers, this is not the only batch that you are going to be, educating or helping them learn. You'll be doing it next year, year after year after that. It's very important for you to know that these it's called writing skills. It doesn't say train for creating writing products. Okay, so your vocabulary is important. Can be collected from the activity room that shall be open for registrations till 18 December from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. each day. Look at the child's thinking skills here. Notice is issued on 6. There is about a couple of weeks. Okay, because the excursion date is 23. All this has to be taught. The child needs to be able to move back and forth between timelines because the child is creating a realistic notice. Which is why we say prior knowledge, experience, alignment to the real world, all good questions in the current scenario of competency-based questions are going to want to see if the child can sort of, synthesize all of this correctly, which is why this kind of question. Otherwise, school is going on a trip, write a notice to your, for the school notice board. Those are the kind of questions that I've seen in some. And we've done over the past few years. But now it's changed. Look at the sophistication of the question. The subtlety of information that is required from the child. Okay. So that is, it's a short writing piece. So it's the same thing, format, content, accuracy of spelling. What comes in format? The marking scheme very clearly writes it. There should not be any doubt. Make the effort, look at the marking scheme. It very clearly says what comes in the format. Okay, so if there are 6 things in the format and the child has just about written 3 in any form, you give the marks half. You will give 1 only and only if all are there. Even if 1 is missing, you will give half. Why? Because 1 is for all the things. Remember that. You're an evaluator. Your assessment, your evaluation should be fair. Okay? Okay, any question on notice? Do we have to sign? Yeah, I mean, look at this.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
queries and other details, kindly contact the undersigned. I'm writing undersigned. I'm not saying undernamed. So put in the sign. Will we cut marks if the sign is not there? Visit the marking scheme. If it says signature, then signature it is. So, right? It says undersigned, right? Most formal notices say undersigned. There's a signature. You look at the notices on the notice board. RWA, organization type, etc. It's not like the clerk has just taken it out from the desk. It has gone to the person. Sir, please sign, no? Then we will put it up on the notice board. Keep it as close to real world as possible. I mean, we have a long way to go. Yeah, but yeah. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. There is one question that if the name of the city is not given in the question, then what should the students do? What should they write?
Over here, I'm sure they are mentioning. Yeah, it's a good idea to write a fictitious city because we need to. I mean, it's not existing in a vacuum, right? So you can put down any city. That's perfectly fine. I'm assuming city is mentioned over here. There's no other place where city is mentioned. I'm assuming that is what it is. Excursion to Elephanta Caves. We are not looking at anybody's GK. If the child writes Agra, it's okay. Please remember, there is a disclaimer given in the paper. If you look at the SQPs, that all information in the writing section banks upon fictitious names. The child is not required to know where Elephanta Caves is to do a writing section. This is not a GK paper. So the child can write any city. Okay, right? Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. There is a question which says, can we write notice in paragraphs? Can we divide it in paragraphs?
Yes, yes, you can. Because this is a particular event, it has used this format. If it were a notice from an RWA, that would say, "Bhai, tell your residents that there's going to be a power cut, etc." So you'll put it in a para form. Of course, we don't make too many paras. We stick to one major para and one concluding minor para. That's just about it. But to answer your question, yes, you can use a para form. It is preferred in senior classes, which is why all these events, etc., are done in junior classes, in middle school, etc. Yes. Any other question?
Ma'am, I think we can safely proceed to the next.
Right. I like the use of the word safely. Okay. Formal letter. So I know I'll be, let me just make this red and make this bold, and I'll write something here. I have been doing it for years in my class. So it's safe to say 30 years at least I have done this, and it has been a massive success. I even do it in my training sessions. I have repeated it several times. I will do it once again. I do apologize for the fact that the acronym that I will talk about is in Hindi, but it will just give you an idea of what you could do in your classrooms. So children get stuck with the format. So I say, yaar, wait a second, and we will take. Okay. Yaar, dance, tera, sundar, sa, lage. And then we say, yaar, sachi. Okay. So now, what is this? Yaar dance tera sundar sa lage, yaar sachi. Okay. So this basically means Y for your address. Okay. D for date. Tera for their address. Okay. S for salutation. Sa, again another S, subject, interchangeable. And L for letter. Yaar sachi, Y for yours with a capital Y, sachi for small s, sincerely. So I basically say, yaar dance tera sundar sa lage, yaar sachi. And I make them repeat it in class again and again and again and again. And they finally end up getting it. There are people who even in the, in the examination, in some pre-boards, I have seen teachers have clicked and sent it to me. They would probably be doing something like, yaar dance tera sundar sa lage, yaar sachi. This is written in the rough somewhere, so they remember. Now you can make it, you can use the sounds to do it in your local language. You could do it in English in some other way. You could, it just helps. It just takes care of all your woes regarding the format. Okay. Now, now that we have addressed the elephant in the room, let's proceed. So now, as this is again a question from the current class 12 practice paper. As Sara Alter, a student at Lotus World Residential School, Nainital, you've observed the littering issue in and around the city. Why around? Because people don't just stay. They just go around to look at other satellite scenic places during the tourist season. Very, very common topic. Very simple, common topic. But it doesn't talk about littering in general. It talks about the scenic place, a tourist place, and it specifically mentions littering during the tourist season. So it's not the locals who are doing it. The implication is towards the tourists. Okay. Discuss the environmental. Now look at the question. Discuss the environmental and community impact. So environmental and community impact. That's why I say do questions orally with your kids, because it will allow you to get in their head. You will be able to see what is going on with them and why they are faltering. Giving them worksheet after worksheet after worksheet after worksheet from here, there, everywhere is not going to tell you how they are thinking. The NCF calls it the teaching learning process, not an outcome. Outcome you'll see, but you need to know what's happening in the process to set them right. Okay. So discuss the environmental and community impact. Impact. Nobody is asking for an explanation, a description. We are talking about impact, meaning the child should know cause and effect. Does the child know what kind of language to use in cause and effect? Have we done that function in the class? That's for you to answer. Of this littering problem caused by most tourists, and suggest. Does the child know the language of suggestion? How does one suggest? Measures to address it. So suggest measures. It's not talking about describe what is the problem. The question is already telling you what the problem is. So a paragraph is completely wasted when the child spends a full paragraph describing it. 1 or 2 lines acknowledging it is more than enough. Okay. So the actual mal is going to come. The actual 120, 150 words are going to come from talking about the impact in the environment and to the community and suggesting measures. That's where the marks are. Just because the child is describing, oh, beautiful places, hills and valleys and trees, and tourists come, tourists use plastic, tourists do this, they throw chips packets here, there, everywhere. You're not supposed to have marks for that. That is not what is being asked. But we give marks because we have not taught our kids what these words mean. Critical thinking is being tested. Higher order skills are being tested. Explaining and describing is lower order. Be very, if you are clear, you'll be able to make them understand clearly. Right? So it is really, what's the fun way of doing it? Just go to class, pick any random 10 topics, write them on the board and make the spider webs, which you're already doing. But make one for impact, make one for recommendations or suggestions. Do not ask for descriptions. Assume that they know about the topic. Assume it. They are in class 12. Okay? And that's how you would be able to do many questions. All right? So, and it says, I like this touch, editor of the Himalayan Bugle, because it's Nainital. Okay, use the given cues along with your own ideas. Now look at the cues. A lot of paper setters give the answers only in the cues. If you are going to tell them that this is the solution and this is the suggestion and this is the impact, what are you giving them marks for? You have done the thinking for them. Why? You know, the cues are supposed to be helping you. It's going to give you that framework for you to write the answer. Okay, remember that when you are creating questions. The next time you open a guidebook or a practice book, if the cues are giving the answers, no, you know it's a useless book. Okay, so now I've just sort of crafted a little bit for you. The lotus world, this thing. So, yaar dance tera. So, yaar, your address, dance, date, tera, the editor, matlab their address. Okay, salutation. You first say namaste, hello, salam, whatever you want to say. Sat Sri Akal. And then you say, okay, listen, I have this. I want to say something to you. So you first say hi. So that is your salutation. Then please note that I have said madam. Why is it always sir? I don't get it. I mean, the editor, the question doesn't specify a gender, right? And it's ridiculous to write sir oblique madam. Okay, in an exam, right? So pick one. So I've said madam. I would always say madam because women are killing it these days. So madam, subject, growing concern about rampant littering. Okay, whatever the title, the subject you want to do. Then there's a letter and then there's yours truly because it's the editor. Okay, I'll repeat what I said and this is your close. I'll repeat what I said some time back. So we look at it like this. Look, no, I'm so glad I used a word doc today. So KISS. Okay, nice word. All right. So here we go. And we do. Okay. So if you know the person, KNOW, if you know the person, the word to write is, okay. If you know the person, the word to write is sincerely. If you don't know the person, therefore the word to write is truly. Okay. If you don't know so therefore when you are, doing a letter to the editor, you don't know the editor, so you're writing truly. However, truly is American. The version that existed earlier was faithfully, but we don't do faithfully anymore because it's too subservient. How much we are done with the colonial era. What is faithfully? Say truly. I mean, there's an understanding. Truly. That's okay. So the American version of faithfully is truly. So we are using truly. But to ensure some kind of parity in the business circuit, because it's an email era, etc., and it has come down to letters as well. In the business circuit, we are using sincerely, even if we don't know the person. Okay, so therefore, when it's a job application or it's a business letter, like it's there in a formal letter, like it's there in class 10, etc., we stick with sincerely. Only in the case of editor, as the marking scheme says, we go with truly. Will we cut marks if the child has written sincerely in the editor also? I don't think so. Because it's a complimentary clause. I'm talking about the board checking. Oh, at least the child has written, give the marks. Unless until your marking scheme clearly specifies complimentary clause is yours truly. If your marking scheme says complimentary clause, then the child has given a complimentary clause. It is a formal letter. We are accepting sincerely, so why will you cut marks? But when we teach, we say truly. Do you understand? That's what it is over here. So now, look at the question. This was the question. How do we do? It's called a structure slip. I have promoted this quite a few times, but I'm not sure. See, organizers are the big thing when it comes to competencies and teaching your kids learning how to learn. So now you have dissected, ideally you should be writing a question and then you should be giving something, a slip like this in your classroom. What is it called? It's called a structure slip. Okay. Oh, so it's called a structure slip. All right. So when you're teaching in class, don't ask them to write a full letter. Not now. I mean, when you begin your new session, don't ask them to write a full letter. Just give them this. Tell them, now, could you please look at the question and give me some pointers on this side, in discussion with your partner. So what's the purpose of the letter? What is the purpose of the letter? What is the issue? In the first paragraph, what is or are the issues? Elaborate. Environmental impact, health hazard, negative impression. What is the impact of the issue? Okay. All right. So environmental impact, health hazard, negative impression. You've given them a clue. Now they will say how. All right. Then you say body paragraph 2, recommendations to address this. Now you've told them, think of what are the plans. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at the beautiful things they come up with. And then concluding paragraph, summarize and give. That's all you have to do with them. It will look something like this. See? What's the purpose of the letter? To draw attention towards a growing concern. State the issue briefly. Littering, particularly during the tourist season. What are the impacts? Of the issues. So environmental, health hazards, negative impression, and then each one has been elaborated. Okay. If you're doing this for class 10, etc., things like this can be put in the portfolio. Doing something like this is a part of your multiple intelligences, multiple assessments, your MAs, etc. For class 12, this is perfect. Imagine if you have 5 different questions in one period, you will get kids to solve 5 different questions, because for each pair you would probably give, to the first 4 or 5 pairs, you will give question 1, to the next one, each row will have a different question. And then you will just take these and put it up on the board, or you will take these home and check. It's so much simpler for you to check sheets like this. You give it back to them and tell them, now you look at my corrections, and now could you please frame the letter based on this that I have explained to you. You'll be amazed. And then when in the exam, month after month, you're making them do this, in the exam, they will, their mind will automatically think along these lines. And obviously then they will stick to the word limit, no? That's it. So you're teaching them to dissect the question. So therefore do it orally, use a structure slip for a letter, and formal letter. Then we have a job application. This doesn't need any explanation because the MS has given everything here. MS has given everything. I've taken this directly from the MS. The only thing I've added here is educational qualifications. Try and include advertised requirements also. Don't just randomly write the qualifications. And then you can, ideally, a table format is good. Most recent onwards or class 10 onwards, either. But in the real world, what is done? they begin with the most recent. Okay, so then the work experience, if relevant. If the question says you're a fresher, then you can only talk about a part-time summer job, etc., or you can talk about an internship. You'll have to tell your kids this. Ours is not a society where our kids in school are going and working in restaurants or waiting tables or, otherwise. Even internships our kids are not exposed to. I mean, at least most of them aren't. So you need to tell them all this, no? Why do we assume that they would? I mean, do you encourage them to just learn those things up or something? Because it's not going to help them if there's a twist in the question then. Okay? So the evaluation for the letter, format 1. Now see, all that is there in the format. Now, in this marking scheme, it says complimentary close, largely accepted, yours truly, for letter to the editor. Largely accepted. It does not say only. Okay. Ma'am, if they write faithfully, do we cut marks? No, you can't cut marks in the board exam. It simply says complimentary close, largely accepted, yours truly. It does not say that sincerely and faithfully is wrong. If it says it is wrong, then you can cut marks. Right now, we are focusing on what is it that we need to teach them. We need to teach them yours truly for editor. That is why, if you look at the question paper and the marking scheme, the question paper will be of 12 pages, but the marking scheme is 20. It should be, ideally, it should be a 30-page marking scheme for the board level, because it will cut down on subjectivity. There will be a fair assessment. Everything should be explained so that the examiner is not in any doubt. God willing, it's going to happen maybe next year onwards. And the processes are in place because the NCF is out now. So it has to be. Any questions on the letter, Himani?
Just one, ma'am. They said if instead of 2023, if a student writes 20 cross, two crosses.
Yeah. Perfectly fine. Arey, these things, be glad they have written the date. That the child knows that this is the place where I have to write the date. You know, in high stakes exams, all these formats are already given, IELTS, etc. They have to just begin with dear so-and-so. All these things, they say these are random. I mean, these are like rote things. But because we like penmanship, etc., we teach this to our kids and so on. Right. What is organization in letter? What is organization? Paragraphing, using linkers and transition words, using a topic sentence. Now, supposing there is a paragraph, body paragraph 2, it's about recommendations. So the topic sentence should clearly indicate that it's about recommendations. There are several recommendations that can be implemented to address this issue. That should be the topic sentence. To begin with, something. To begin with, transition word, linker. All this comes under organization. Ideally, organization should carry equal marks as content. But because we just have those 5 marks, it's come down. Imagine if you have a marking scheme saying if the child has not used linkers or has not done proper paragraphing, not used the topic sentence, supporting sentence, not concluded the paragraph with a concluding sentence, you will cut marks. That is writing skills. Right now, we are just giving marks for any and everything. But NCF says now it is skills. Your learning outcomes and your competencies are in place. Now, if organization is a competency and the child doesn't know how to organize and you're just randomly giving marks, how far is it going to go? Not long. Okay? Right.
Ruchi
think the
ma'am,
teachers
just
are
a
going-
humble
yeah.
request. We
Yes.
are on a time crunch, so if we can
Yes.
wind up and keep some time for Q&A because there's another meeting to follow. So if we,
Okay.
yes,
Wrapping up in the next 5
thank
or
you so
maybe
much,
4
ma'am.
and a half. Yeah, because these are topics that don't have any issues with the teachers. The major ones I've already done. Article writing, everything. This is from the marking scheme, everybody. Okay, should not be a problem. Title, eye-catching, introductory paragraph, main body, concluding paragraph. You tell them everything, but just tell them that organization is extremely important. So if it's a paragraph, it needs to have a topic sentence, supporting sentence, and concluding sentence. Okay. So article writing, everything is given here in the MS, very clearly addressed. Okay. Then you have report writing, newspaper. If it's a newspaper, it will have a headline and byline, and reporting place and date will be specifically mentioned before everything else follows. If it is a report for the school magazine, it is a heading and a byline and then details. Now the byline can be it's after the heading. Yes, unlike the article where it can come after the title or towards the end. So heading and a byline. Over here, if it's for a newspaper, headline and a byline, and the reporting place and date. Over here, reporting place and date is not given. It comes in the first paragraph, mentioned. And I think that's just about it. Oh, I managed. I didn't even go to 4 minutes. All right. So I'm going to stop the share until there is a requirement for me to refer to something. Is there a question?
Yes, ma'am. There is a recurring question. I'll read it out. Are we supposed to enclose invitations, notices, articles, reports, resumes in a box except letter? Are these all supposed to be enclosed in a box?
Okay, look at this. Article. What does the CBSE say here? Note, an article is not boxed. A box has been used here as a tool for clear illustration. Nothing is boxed. What has been boxed here? Just your formal invitation. And what else? Your notice. Just the formal card type invitation and your notice. Nothing else is boxed. I hope that has answered the question. Anything else?
Dear educators, you may virtually raise your hand if you need to ask your query. Ma'am, there is a question. Can reply be in 2 paragraphs as well? Reply for the invitation.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the reply, you can see here one and another one. Yeah. Yes.
Miss Swapna, could you please unmute yourself? Miss Swapna, you've raised your hand. Please unmute. And there is a request where one of the educators has said that could you please share the document with us? I think it is easily available on YouTube when Salam sir will upload it. So I think
How do I share the document, I wonder? I can't share the document. It's not like I can just drag and drop it somewhere. So you could probably, what I'll do is, you can carry on. What I'll do is I'll just, go slow so that it's all visible later when the YouTube is on, and then you can pause and carry on, Himani. I'm just doing the needful.
ma'am,
Carry
that's
on.
very kind of you. I must put that. Miss Swapna, would you please unmute yourself? I've sent you a request to unmute. I think she's not able to unmute. Or you may type your query in the Q&A and I'll take it up. I think,
Anyone else?
Yeah. Just let me check, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This question was also there. Is thanking you not mandated in a letter to the editor or any formal letter for that matter?
No, we don't do that anymore. But if the child writes, it's perfectly all right. It's all right. We are not teaching it anymore. I mean, how much are we going to thank? If it's a letter of request, then I think it's perfectly all right. I mean, you're saying yours truly, you're saying yours sincerely. Sometimes we are also saying best regards, yours sincerely. Now, how much of thank and gratitude are we going to put? Right? So if the child writes thanking you, great. If it's a letter of request, it's wonderful. You've requested somebody to set something right, or maybe your cable wala, or maybe your I don't know, your somebody in the RWA to do something. Could they please um, address some water problems and arrange for a camp of some property tax for the senior citizens, etc. And then you're saying thanking you. Okay, so yeah, that's okay. But largely we are not writing. It's not wrong though. There are no clear guidelines on that. It's not wrong. But oftentimes I don't see it anywhere. Yeah. So I think I've run the whole thing once. Yep.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Bakul,
Bakul
we have
yeah.
another educator. Bakul, could you please unmute yourself? Sent you request to unmute. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. First of all, I
Hello.
would like to say thank you. It has been a very enriching discussion. But ma'am, I have one question. Actually, I'm teaching 10th and 11th. So
Okay.
the concept of writing thanking you, we are still teaching it to the student. You are saying that it is not necessary. But if the child does not write in a board paper, so should we cut marks for that or not? Because it comes in the format everywhere where it is being taught like that only.
Okay. If you look at the marking
Because recently
scheme,
I had a discussion with one of my students. He told me that, ma'am, from where I've revised, thanking is not given, but we are giving the format. So marks should be deducted or not for that?
no, you cannot cut marks because the marking scheme does not specify thanking you as a part of format. The
Okay.
marking scheme, when the marking scheme says, no, you just visit the marking scheme. I showed you, it says yours truly is used for the editor and so on.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
when you look at the marking scheme, there are elements mentioned for the format. Thanking you does not come as a element of that. So if the child writes, okay. If the child doesn't write, it's okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Always go back to the marking scheme. When in doubt, go back to the marking scheme or give me a call. Simple.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There is another educator. Ms. Jyoti K. Could you please unmute yourself?
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Jyoti. Your name is light itself, huh? Very good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, let me thank you for such a wonderful session. Second time I'm attending your workshop at this seminar and all. Ma'am, I just want to get this recording. How can I get the recorded version of this today's class?
Himani?
Ma'am, this will be uploaded on YouTube. The channel name is CBSE Bharat Sahodya. So if you search for it, you will find this video. I think at the earliest, it will be uploaded by tomorrow morning. So
Yeah.
yes, you'll find
Yeah.
it there. CBSE Bharat Sahodya. Just type that, you'll see the videos there.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, just a quick question. There was this question, what are the ideal number of paragraphs that one can write in formal letters?
3.
3.
3.
Yes.
So you would probably have like a context setting introductory thing. This is to draw your attention towards this thing, and you elaborate the subject. Then you absolutely crack on with whatever has been asked in the question. And you end with suggestions or recommendations if they are asked, advantages or disadvantages, pros or cons, whatever is asked. And you conclude. Ideally, it's 3, but it tends to go to 4 because we need to conclude. I hope the publishing of this letter in your esteemed daily. So, yeah.
Yes. And I'm just a quick continuation of this question. Are we supposed to mention the designation of the sender in the closing?
If it is given in the question, yes, because that's the purpose of giving it in the question, right? So you need to, otherwise it's okay to write concerned citizen or something like that if the topic demands it. Otherwise, no need to write anything. I think Pushpa has her hand raised.
Yes, ma'am. I've just sent her a request.
Himani
Miss
ma'am,
Pushpa?
just 1
Yes.
minute to go.
Yes,
Please
sir.
guide
Yes,
us.
sir. Just
Yeah.
one last question. Miss Pushpa.
Yeah, thank you, Ruchi ma'am, for everything, the way you guide us. Ruchi ma'am, just a favor, in last webinar, you have shared the link of your book that written by you for the grade 11 and 12. I somehow missed it. Could you please share it again? Just a humble request.
It's all